of them left Krishna consciousness, but few devotees who were very serious, sincere, they really carried forward the movement. And especially those who took the shelter of instructions of Srila Prabhupada were able to go through that phase. Like there are two associations of spiritual master. One is Vapu association and another is Vani association. As long as we are getting Vapu association, one can take benefit of it. But purpose of Vapu association is that we can become attached to Vani. So there were many devotees who were attached to the Vapu of Srila Prabhupada, but there were few who were able to develop attachment to his Vani. And after Prabhupada left, they took shelter of Vani and continued wonderfully. So His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Guru Maharaj also, after Prabhupada left, it was like his life, it was appearing like life has become vacant. And he was wondering what to do. Then finally, he realized that actually spiritual master is present in form of his Vani. So then whatever instructions Prabhupada gave him, he took them very, very seriously. So one of the instructions was given to him was, you translate all my books into Bengali. So then he took this service very, very dedicated way. Earlier he was not able to spend much time in translation because he had a lot of services. But after Prabhupada departure, then he focused on this translation service. And then he translated all Prabhupada books into Bengali. And we can actually, Maharaj used to be very, very focused person, very determined and very focused. So every day he used to also like following footsteps of Prabhupada. Prabhupada used to also get up night 12 o'clock and then translate his books. Similarly, Maharaj also used to get up at 12 o'clock, 12:30 and then translate his books. So whole night he used to translate from English to Bengali. I saw Maharaj develop that habit right in young age because he was focused in that service. Later on, even in final days, I used to say whenever Maharaj used to come here, he used to be up by 12, 12:30. And then 12:30 onwards, he would read Prabhupada books, he will do, he will chant. So by morning 6 o'clock, his everything would be done. His morning program, his chanting, his reading, hearing. Morning 6 o'clock till night 10 o'clock, he'll be, enthusiastically serving, So, so he developed that habit of, getting early because he was very focused in his service to Prabhupada. So he translated all these books, and in 1996, the centennial and thing, he offered all books of Prabhupada to Prabhupada, translated books as a service. So that was an amazing service. Now we see devotees all over Bengal, all over Bangladesh, and many devotees around the world. They're able to take benefit of Prabhupada's books translated by Maharaj in Bengali. Then 1996, then he thought, what, now I have completed this one service, what next service I should do for Prabhupada? And then he was seeing that time television was very famous. So he thought that, Prabhupada made Krishna very famous. So we should try to make Prabhupada famous. And then he was thinking how to make Prabhupada famous. So I was thinking if I can produce a TV serial, that time Rama and Mahabharata, had been produced and that had become very, very famous. So I was thinking if I can produce a TV serial on Prabhupada, Prabhupada will become very famous. So he was a sannyasi, but still because he wanted to glorify Prabhupada, he worked very hard, created a team, and actually he created this 𝐂𝐻𝐌𝐍 serial. And by Krishna's incarnate mercy, it was also broadcasted for entire 1 year on the Doordarshan television. So Maharaj did a lot of shooting here in Calcutta, Guru Sadai Road and all this. So, and he really worked very, very hard, tirelessly to produce this 𝐂𝐻𝐌𝐍 serial. And then that serial 96 to almost 2003-4 was done, and then 2002. So then after that he was thinking, how should I serve Prabhupada again? That time Uma Bharati or someone, I forgot the name of Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh. So she wanted something to be done in Ujjain. So then Maharaj accepted that responsibility, and very quickly, in 9 months, 10 days only, he built a beautiful temple. I think it was, I think that was in 2004 began, 2005 inaugurated also. So Maharaj, very focused. He will never get distracted here and there. Very resolute and very focused in his service. That is one thing I very much predominantly remember about his personality. Maharaj was also GBC, and then GBC requested him to be a guru also. So Indrajit Prabhu's father was one of his first disciples of Maharaj. And later on, Maharaj also became GBC chairman. Maharaj actually had a very beautiful relationship with his god brothers and god sisters. Everybody felt very, he was a very trustworthy person. And because he loved Prabhupada, everybody enjoyed his association. In his association, he would speak Prabhupada Katha so nectarian. And he was also a beautiful singer. He could sing Vaishnava bhajans so beautifully and explain them, because Bengali songs have deep meanings. Other people who don't have Bengali as their mother tongue, they may not understand every small nuances about these things. But Maharaj could explain those songs so beautifully. So Maharaj had a great faith in Prabhupada, and especially in his ISKCON society. Wherever he would go, he would inspire devotees about cultivating one's relationship with Prabhupada, developing faith in Prabhupada as a founder Acharya, as a preeminent Shiksha Guru, and also cultivating one's faith in ISKCON as a society. We see he gave many times seminars on ISKCON, the institution. So he was saying, if Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, if this statement has to come true, how it is going to come true? He said, not by any individual gurus preaching all over the world. He said, we can be successful only if we have proper institution. And he said, which institution? He said, this institution, ISKCON institution. And every institution has head. So he said, everybody has to accept Prabhupada as the head of the institution. If everybody accept Prabhupada as founder Acharya and remain within this institution, then this this prophecy of Sri Chaitanya will come true. So he used to very much emphasize on this. He was one instrumental in publishing this paper, Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya, and also to pass this resolution in GBC that everybody has to accept Prabhupada as the Shiksha. Now, these things may appear simple for us nowadays, but actually, after Prabhupada left, Prabhupada had gone in background, and Guru had become prominent, and then there were a lot of divisions and there were a lot of issues were there. But it was Bhakti Sharma is very always empathetically made this point, how Prabhupada has to be always in forefront, how all gurus have to work under Prabhupada, and how all disciples should also cultivate their relationship with Prabhupada. And he was very instrumental in establishing and making this concept Prabhupada as founder Acharya and preeminent Shiksha Guru as a reality in ISKCON. Now we accept it as just this was not like that. Now every day we have Guru Puja for Prabhupada. Earlier it was not like that. So not only that, started making deities of Prabhupada. Also, we have deities of Prabhupada. That was actually started by His Holiness Swami Maharaj. So under Maharaj was also very exemplary person as well as a great leader. And as one of his leadership quality was, he would be very much appreciative and encouraging. Wherever he saw something good, he would encourage. Anything, anybody he would saw, doing something wonderful in service of Srila Prabhupada, he would very heartily glorify. I remember when Kirtan Mela was going on, and thousands of people started joining Kirtan Mela year after year. Then one time I saw Maharaj was very much thanking and appreciating Sachinand Maharaj for starting this Kirtan Mela and getting all devotees together for chanting. Then I remember one time he met Radheshampu, and he was appreciating Radheshampu like anything for his youth preaching. So one time when he went abroad, he saw Radhanath Maharaj program. It was a very successful program. So immediately when he came back, as soon as he got down the airport, he was telling me, "Oh, I went to America and I heard Radhanath Maharaj did such a wonderful program." And then he wrote a letter to all GBC that you will see so many people doing so many wonderful things, but people don't know about it. So we should uh, uh, appreciate and glorify devotees. Team, if one makes goal, all team celebrates it. It's not that one person makes goal, he celebrates, but entire team celebrates. Then he wrote in that mail that how he went, he saw Radhanath Maharaj doing such preaching, and he was saying, "Arey, nobody knows also." So he said, how we have to encourage each other and appreciate each other. So this was very special. I saw leadership quality. Wherever he saw anything good, he would very much encourage that things. And as being part of Calcutta, actually, we are very, very fortunate that Maharaj gave us time in Calcutta. And he was very instrumental in development of Calcutta. I remember practically every year he used to come and do this. And he was a GBC and sannyasi who spent maximum time in Calcutta. Practically every year, 4 or 5 times a year, he used to come and give his wonderful association. So, especially for people of Calcutta, he loved Calcutta. He loved devotees of Calcutta. So all over the world, wherever he'll go, he'll speak in English. But when to Calcutta, he used to speak in Bengali. He said, at least because this is language of Mahaprabhu, I should speak in Bengali. So he loved, actually, he used to be really in Calcutta. He used to especially emphasize on 3 instructions. He would tell. First thing he used to say to everybody, never leave ISKCON, no matter what happens. No matter how many difficulties happen, no matter what ups and downs happen, never leave ISKCON. Then he used to say, second, that always accept GBC, Governing Body Commission, as ultimate managing authority of ISKCON. Have faith in GBC and continue. Because Prabhupada actually, in his will, he made them as the ultimate managing authority of ISKCON. So he would encourage everybody to have faith in the GBC and continue serving in ISKCON. And third thing he used to repeat, that which Prabhupada spoke in his final days. One time when Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, it was almost November 1977. He was so frail, so weak, and still he used to come for darshan. He was carried in palanquin. So one time, one devotee came from abroad, and when he saw Prabhupada's condition, he couldn't believe, and he felt so sorry. He started crying, seeing Prabhupada so weak. And then he went to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I pray that may you take youth and may I get your. So, and he was practically crying. And Prabhupada looked at him. Prabhupada appreciated him, but Prabhupada was more, he was not just carried away by the sentiment. He said, this sentiment is good, that you want to give your life to me. But he said, better than that would be If you really want to show love, if you really want to show your love to me, you can show that by how you cooperate with your God brothers. So, uh, so Bhakti Charu Maharaj used to repeat this thing that yes, we can love Prabhupada, we can show so many things to Prabhupada, we can say so many, but actually our love will be tested by how we cooperate with each other, pushing forward. Another instruction which he used to many times was the instruction which he got in his own life. He met Prabhupada. Prabhupada said that, so please give this one life to Krishna. You have given so many lives to Maya, but you are not happy. Now, this one life to, and just see the magic of Krishna. So Maharaj used to repeat many times this instruction and request devotees that no, you have given so many lives to Maya. Now this life give exclusively to Krishna. And he used to say, I assure you, you will be happy. So many lives you have tried to enjoy and you are not happy. But this life, if you give to Krishna, you are surely be very, very happy. So, actually, those of us who are in Calcutta, those days when Maharaj used to come, it used to be a really great festival. To be with Maharaj was such a joyful experience. I remember many times I had heard about Maharaj, many times I had seen him video or something, but very closely, first time I got to meet him was in 2008 when he had come for Pune Yatra. Other times I could see from the distance only because always surrounded by so many devotees. But when he came to Pune Yatra in 2008, that time even Jabad Maharaj came. After the stroke, Jabad, and that was a big celebration, Jabad Maharaj had come from hospital and Bhakti Charu Maharaj had also come. Radhanath Maharaj was there and there was, great festival. Somehow I got to go and be with Bhakti Charu Maharaj that time. And then that time many devotees from IIT Kharagpur had also come because Yatra was very hectic. But within that, I just requested Maharaj, can you meet devotees from IIT Kharagpur? So he agreed. So then all devotees went there, That was one first time I got very close interaction with Maharaj. And then 2009, then I went to this festival in Ujjain. And when Maharaj came to know that I'm coming, he arranged his stay in his own apartment. All guests were put different guest house and this different rooms and all these things. So when I went, I had no accommodation. But then I wonder where I'm going to stay. Then Maharaj called me. He said, "You stay with me only." So in Maharaj quarters, and Maharaj was so particular. I was a very, very caring person. He used to make sure that I get proper prasad, proper rest, proper everything. So he was hospitality person. The way he used to take God the special, and that is time when I requested him that if he can come to Calcutta and do seminar in December. Immediately agreed, and then actually I saw he used to love preaching. He used to be so ecstatic. He can go on preaching hours together, and he loved to interact with people. And his classes used to be so crystal clear. He himself was very deeply learned. He had translated all proper books, and he also was learned very personally. And he could make very complicated philosophy present in very simple way. And many difficult. Sometimes people used to ask, or boys, devotees used to ask many complicated questions. He could answer them very easily, make very complicated things very simple. So that is meaning of expert. Expert means most complicated thing he can explain in a very simple way. So that was very. I really used to love his question answer. He used to really answer the questions so nicely. And also, he was very personal in question answer. He used to, after every class, he used to ask everybody to write the cheat, collect the cheat, and answer every question. And when before reading the question, he will read who has asked the question, and he will make that person stand up. If there is no name, he will not answer. So he was very personal. He will understand the person, and accordingly he will give answer. So same question, if different people will ask, he will answer differently according to the individual. So he was very, very fortunate that practically year he used to come 4 5 times a year actually. And somehow I got good fortune every time to go and receive him at airport. Going at airport and receiving him used to be another big festival. Any devotee used to come, chant, dance, And another thing I saw was Maharaj would never be tired. After sometimes long journeys, it was like whenever he comes out of the airport, he used to be very blissful and very walking, and immediately he will go meet all devotees, receive garland, give garland, talk very affectionate to everybody. And after that, immediately board the vehicle and come. And then he was ready for the service. It was not that he was tired, he wanted to take rest or but he was always very enthusiastic. And he was also very personal and compassionate, very tolerant, very humble, very forgiving also. At the same time, very perfectionist, and he could be very angry also. Something go wrong, he would chastise also. Inside, outside, he was like very in that sense. If you do some mistakes, he would also chastise because he wanted a first class. And somehow I was not very qualified, but somehow he insisted that every time he would come, he insisted me that I should take breakfast, lunch, dinner with him wherever you go. No? So Maharaj himself was a very perfect cook. Anybody cooks, he could understand plus and what is plus, So not anybody and everybody could cook for him. And every time he will come, he will want to see what kind of offering to bog off. Immediately we tell them this is not good, this not, this is not cooked well. Just test good. So he was very concerned that minutes of DT should be very offering. Came for Mangalarti, and he saw our proper DT. There were some black spots were there. Okay, so immediately called me. He said, "Please, tomorrow morning, call all. I will go to the DT room and teach them how to properly, serve proper." So next day, early morning, he came. He went in the DT room, and when all pujaris were dressing, he personally showed how to, clean every aspect of and proper become little black. He personally made it, shine golden. So he used to be very particular. He wanted everything first class. DT worship first class, offering first class. Okay. So I'll just end by and Maharaj, there are so many things to speak, but I'll say 1, 2, 3 things. Maharaj was, I remember one time, Maharaj was trying to call me. I was, my phone was spoiled. Phone was working, and then later on, to someone called, then I received. Maharaj said, "What happened? Call you, you're not picking." I said, Maharaj, my phone got, problems, it need to be. So when next day Maharaj came from flight, then he took out his own phone, iPhone. He said, "You keep it with you." So he gave so many gifts to me actually. Anyway, I did not use that iPhone. It was very high-fi, So, but Maharaj was very magnanimous, he would say, Another time I saw that he had come, and with him, a lot of other devotees had come, and a lot of luggage was there. I had gone to receive him, and then he saw that I had come on the yellow taxi, our yellow taxi. I said, where is the car? I just came with this, and Maharaj ka car jo tha, aa gaya, Then he, after that visit, when he was going back, he said, you take this Sonata car, you keep with you, use it. So Maharaj was like, very important mission. Everything should be done very nicely. And he always used to think very big. In last visit, he wanted helicopter service to start from Calcutta to Mayapur. And he wanted to start this new temple in 6 months. He used to practically every week call and see these things. So he used to always think big in service of Srila Prabhupada. Actually, he left the world. It was all of a sudden. No one imagined. And it's really great loss for the whole world, and especially to all the devotees of Calcutta. So we are very much missing him. And it's very difficult to believe that he is not with us. So definitely his blessings are there, and there through his mercy and his wonderful Vani. So we hope and pray that we can assist in his service to Prabhupada and thus pleasing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.
His grace Asara Prabhu ki jai. Now we have we are online as Prabhu and another one we are working right now. I request parents of Prabhu.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Start the Halwa Prasadam distribution in the morning from Anakshetra. Hare Krishna. Maharaj. So we have put khichdi, we have put halwa. Evening khichdi will go on, and from 9 to 1, Halwa Prasadam will also be distributed.
We'll announce. Huh? Yes. We'll announce after this, both of their offering.
Okay.
Start it after announcement.
After announcement.
Stall there.
Prabhu, can you hear me?
Or normally
distraction जैसे इधर स्टॉल लगाते हैं खिचड़ी का वैसे स्टॉल जो भी आता है we'll announce it and then 1 o'clock whatever remaining is there वो सबको सर्व कर दो. Yeah, am I audible? Hare Krishna, can I speak?
Yes, Prabhuji, you are audible. Please speak.
नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति चारु स्वामी महाराज नामिने नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य. Hare Krishna. It's a very special day in the appearance of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. And all of us in Calcutta have been very fortunate
I've had association of Maharaj in a very personal way in various interactions. Sannyasi who has given a lot of association to devotees. I thought I could share some of my personal interactions and learnings from Maharaj. So I remember one time I was given this service of doing guest reception for Maharaj, and we were arranging for his room at Shalimar, maybe knowing Som Prabhu's flat, and Maharaj had to be navigated to that place. So I was in touch with one of his disciples who was traveling with Maharaj after he got down from the airplane, and I was trying to help him find the place where Maharaj is staying so that the car can come there. And this person was not able to properly understand what I'm telling in which place. And as I was talking to his servant or the assistant who was traveling with Maharaj, suddenly Maharaj picked up the phone and said, Hare Krishna, this is Bhakti Charu Swami. And I was like a little shocked. And Maharaj started asking me, so where is the place? And Maharaj immediately navigated and, he affectionately spoke with me and clearly understood where he was supposed to go. So I saw in Maharaj's demeanor, his protocol was that he would always be in the front. He would be always in the front and executing the services. He would take direct lead in all the aspects. I remember the last yatra Maharaj did with all his Western or NRI devotees from London, South Africa, and various other places. Maharaj had brought them for a yatra in Puri, Mayapur, Calcutta. So I was told Maharaj had asked devotees to cook at Newtown. And whenever the prasadam had to be served, Maharaj would personally first taste all the prasad. I think he would do that even for the big festivals. Big festivals also, he would personally ask the devotees to bring what is cooked and taste. And if there needs to be some edits, then he would do that and then have everyone honor prasadam nicely so that everybody can relish prasadam. So Maharaj was practically the leading person for the whole yatra, checking the menu, checking the venue, checking all the arrangements, and ensuring that all of them have a comfortable yatra. So Maharaj was always on that move. And I remember the day they came and Maharaj spoke, then we were serving prasadam to Udayananda Prabhu and His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, making arrangements in the kutir, serving prasadam. And it was idli, sambar, chutney, and khichdi that was being served. And after I served all the prasadam, this was, I think, the last visit Maharaj came to Goshala. After serving prasadam, Maharaj asked if there was dosa, and I was coordinating the prasadam and said, Maharaj said dosa. So then I rushed into the kitchen and we were working very hard because the batter was over. And Maharaj said if there could be dosa prasadam. So then we tried to make some other atta, everything, but it didn't happen. And 20 minutes passed by. And Maharaj got up and left. That was one service he had given. And then when Maharaj was leaving, I apologized, Maharaj, we couldn't make the dosa, and serve you, Maharaj. And Maharaj just kind of nodded and said, that's okay. That's okay for the service. But I remember that was my last interaction with Maharaj where I failed to, make an arrangement for Maharaj's prasadam. But he was very kind and affectionate, showing his affection. After Srila Prabhupada's departure, Maharaj had taken up a lot of big tasks of Srila Prabhupada's instructions to translate Srimad Bhagavatam in Bengali and various other projects. But because of being a GBC, a spiritual master, he had no time that he would find to translate these literatures. And he knew that I have to make this offering to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada expects me. So after many years, Maharaj decided that now I have to complete it and give that as an offering to Srila Prabhupada. He actually changed his whole lifestyle to be able to fulfill that instruction of Prabhupada. Maharaj actually made his life in such a way that management is endless. He would get up very early in the morning, maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock, chant his rounds, do his study. And then he had fixed himself a quantum of pages he would translate every day. Every day he would translate those pages in Bengali, 10, 11, 12 o'clock, whatever it would take in the day, 7, 8 hours. And after that 10, 11, 12 o'clock, then he would get fresh, take his prasadam and do his preaching and management as a GBC and as a spiritual master he needed to do. And like that, he had his schedules for years and years, where he would be translating 7 to 8 hours of Bhagavatam every day, irrespective of whatever be the schedule, wherever he's traveling. Like we see Srila Prabhupada, Maharaj also in his footsteps followed similarly. And later, I think that became the schedule of Maharaj. Maharaj would get up way early, finish his rounds, read Prabhupada books, and then whole day be engaged in services. Maharaj has been a very enterprising person, very enterprising. I could see that every time Maharaj was involved in a project, something new would always come up. There are so many services we could offer for Prabhupada's pleasure, and Maharaj would always look forward to different, anybody who had an opportunity of service, and Maharaj was ready. Prabhupada wanted what is that? Water, Jalatuta, a service like a a boat. So Maharaj was instrumental in working on that. And then as Achan was telling, on a helipad, a steamer, helipad for services to Mayapur. Wherever Maharaj found an opportunity to do a service, create. I think at one time Maharaj was also involved in making IT company and many other projects. Very enterprising in that way, to make some services for Srila Prabhupada. And many times those projects would not fare well necessarily, but his eagerness to always make something happen, some big preaching happen, some big programs happen, he would always be very eager. I remember the last time I was with Maharaj working on a service of a production of a drama. It was this music drama which was being Koyal Tripathi. They were doing these dramas, and Maharaj was hosting big events to show those dramas where Krishna Leela was being depicted. And somehow there was some portion in the drama which was having a little Mayavad content. and Maharaj just kind of left the drama in between and went back to his accommodation with all the other devotees. And Maharaj was sharing that if only Prabhupada.
Krishna, Guruji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, bro. We are not able to hear.
You're not able to hear? Can you hear?
Okay, bro, you continue, bro. You continue.
Okay, our network was okay, good here. Can you hear now?
No. This was not your internet problem, bro. Our internet problem.
Okay.
Let's continue, bro. Now.
Okay. No, this is not their internet. So I was speaking about that. So Maharaj is very expert preacher. He could speak very complicated subjects in a very simple way, in a very practical way. One time there was a question answer session, and Maharaj was asked by one person that we should stand against cow slaughter, we should stand against conversions, we will stand against this, we will stand against that. He was trying to create a revolutionary kind of a feeling, and Maharaj was answering that question. And Maharaj immediately said that if you really want to practically do something and become heard and meaningful, then first we should preach Krishna consciousness and increase in our number, increase in our majority of people who are devotees. And then he asked him, you have become Krishna conscious. Do you find difference in your life? He said, yes, I have change all my habits and become sober and everything. So similarly, if people become Krishna conscious, they will become transformed. But he said, but if we preach and we become a good number, that is when we will be able to influence people to be able to hear our message. He was saying, if at all you really want to bring about a change, then we should preach Krishna consciousness and make more and more people transform their lives as a result. And that is very necessary. So Maharaj had a very practical message while he had, when he applied the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And Maharaj always showered a lot of affection, and I was fortunate to also be a part of having prasadam with Maharaj. And Maharaj would personally cook lasagna for devotees when he would come and feed all the devotees with that prasad. So it's very memorable experiences of Maharaj's great enthusiasm to serve Srila Prabhupada, to make some very big services happen, and always enthuse everyone with the nectar of Krishna Katha, Krishna Kirtan, and his beautiful Vaishnava songs. Hare Krishna, Jai His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki Jai, Rasa Puja ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Now we request Ananta Bhagavan Prabhu to give his offering to Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Vishnu Kristai Bhakti Srimati Bhakti Charu Swami Navami Namo Vishnu Padaya Vishnu Kristai Bhakti Srimati Bhakti Swami Navami Namaste Saraswati Devaraja. So it's a great fortune that we had and we are having an association of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, who is so very dear to Prabhupada. Prabhupada in his last days, Bhakti Charu Maharaj practically gave his life to Prabhupada, and he served him so dearly and so affectionately. Actually, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, when he came to Krishna consciousness, he came in the later years of ISKCON for ISKCON. So during that time, so there were many other senior devotees. So some devotees were expressing that how, but first time Prabhupada met Bhakti Charu Maharaj, he said that you should translate all my books into Bengali. So that is very, very historic in that sense. So later on, when Bhakti Charu Maharaj was taking up many services, devotees were kind of alarmed that how this young boy is taking up. They were kind of mentioning it to Prabhupada that and this devotee is quite young, but Prabhupada was very encouraging. Prabhupada was very encouraging, and he gave a lot of services to the extent that Prabhupada gave sannyas to Bhakti Charu Maharaj at a very young age. Maybe within a few years of his, within a few probably months of his coming to Krishna consciousness. So that was kind of surprising for many devotees. Later on, after Prabhupada left, so Bhakti Charu Maharaj was very much affected, and especially after Prabhupada left, there was some devotees were wanting to not be very active in ISKCON and all that. So that has got affected Bhakti Charu Maharaj very much, and he speaks in many of his lectures actually. And that how it affected him so much that and he became an instrument of helping the mission so much. In probably 86 or 87, Bhakti Charu Maharaj became GBC chairman. So because he was entrusted with that responsibility of being GBC chairman, so he would travel all over the world. And at the same time, at that time, the situation was such that because it was 1986, 87 at that time, ISKCON was going through some turbulence as well. So and being GBC chairman and ISKCON India, practically Bhakti Charu Maharaj was one of the few devotees within in ISKCON India who was helping all the devotees within ISKCON of India and all that. So we had lots of service, and lots of anxiety and lots of responsibility in Prabhupada's mission that to help Prabhupada's mission. So Bhakti Charu Maharaj, in one of his offerings, he writes to Prabhupada, he writes that whole day I would work so hard to integrate and put ISKCON together and help devotees, encourage devotees and all that. And at the end of the day, before I would go to bed, I would think that, oh, Prabhupada has given me the translation work, and it has not happened. And so practically my day has got wasted in that way. So he would think like that. And after having a hectic day, full day, completely filled with services and completely filled with helping devotees and all that. But anyway, he would reason that anyway, at this time, probably Prabhupada would want me to do this. And he would continue doing it. And this went on for some years, in early 90s, I presume. So there was a situation where he was, where he was not so much in active management as in comparison to late 80s. So he took it as Prabhupada's indication that now is the time when I have to give a lot of time for translating books. So practically he started the whole mission. He started the whole schedule and organized it in such a way that he translated most of the books at that time. So by 95, 96 or so, almost all of the books were translated. And he took it as Prabhupada's indication that that time be taken out so completely, which he can use for translating Prabhupada's books, which he considered to be the direct, which actually was the direct instructions Prabhupada had given him directly. And then later on, he was thinking how to establish Prabhupada's glory, and that is the time when he started this 𝐂𝐻𝐌𝐍 serial for the centennial of Prabhupada. Prabhupada's glory can be established in the best way by taking up this. Bhakti Maharaj always felt that this world, the preaching can happen not by philosophical conquest, but by cultural conquest. So therefore, he is very particular in the sense of even when he would come to Rath Yatra, sometimes he would go and attend the dramas and he would give his comments, and he would want to get involved and help with the devotees who are organizing those cultural activities and all that, because he believes in it very much. So he organized and directed that 𝐂𝐻𝐌𝐍, which became famous, so famous, and for all time to come, Prabhupada's Leela is depicted by that 𝐂𝐻𝐌𝐍 serial. So in this way, so that was the time he had done this. So later on, however, he felt that again his duty as helping devotees. So one time one of our devotees, he asked Maharaj that Maharaj, why not, you have directed this 𝐂𝐻𝐌𝐍, why not direct something else? I don't know.
Make a movie on Prabhupada.
Make a movie on Prabhupada or something like that. So Maharaj, when he read that question, immediately he asked, who asked this question? So it was very humorous and affectionate actually. So anyway, so he was saying that, yeah, earlier I made a movie on 𝐂𝐻𝐌𝐍, but now I feel that instead of making a movie, I should move around so that I can help devotees to become more encouraged and inspired to, and they can do many other things like that, he was saying. So that's how he was. In 2013, he made an offering where he mentioned that. So I have been, actually all these things he probably in 2013 offering only mentioned. So in that offering, he mentioned that now I have been doing all these services for you, and the GBC, as I feel that the leadership is sufficient, well equipped enough to handle the service, handle your responsibilities. So now I feel very much. I very much feel to be with you. So like that he writes. So he expresses his desire to leave the world at that time, which we eventually see that eventually he left. So in this way. So basically, Maharaj was very affectionate. Many devotees were mentioning how he was so affectionate, even to very, very newcomers. It so happened that I and Prabhu, both of us, we went to Mayapur one time. We went we thought that we'll have to meet with one lady, disciple of Maharaj, who is an architect. So we have to meet with her and talk with her something and come back. That's what we thought, and that we did it anyway. So then we were about to go back. Maharaj said, no, you stay back. So then he organized lunch, where Maharaj himself was there and both of us were there. So it was so embarrassing in that sense that Maharaj was directing what to put, what to eat, how to eat, and he was directing servants, what to serve. And so anyway, so much of it. And Maharaj sometimes, in Ekadashi, he would cook this rosti. He himself directs how to cook the rosti. Therefore, he has a way of cooking the rosti, and he's an expert. So he would he would cook that rosti and he would, he would fry it. I mean, say, what do you say, roast it. And after roasting it, he would do it in this way. He would make that pan. He would play with that pan in this way. The rosti would go in circles all around and again come back to straight fall back in the pan, without getting disturbed, and it would straight land on the pan in a very perfect way. So in this way, he is very expert in all these things. So so sometimes, so on some Ekadashi days, he invited us and he was directing his servants to serve these roasties and all that. So in this way, he's very affectionate and he has so many desires for our project as well. He was very much pushy. He was just not enthusiastic. He was so surely enthusiastic, but just not enthusiastic. But he was kind of, would want, as devotees were mentioning, would want it to take off within 6 months or something like that, which probably our devotees may feel that it is impractical, but Maharaj would always do it in such a way, and he is a person who would do the impossible things possible also, as we have seen in the Ujjain case. And so in this way, so he was kind of very enthusiastic and very inspiring and very pushy. And he would do things. It's not just saying. He would arrange things in very short span. Something which is quite impossible, he would do it within a very short span, and kind of encourage devotees and inspire and enthuse devotees like that. So he has a lot of desires for Calcutta, as devotees were rightly saying that he would spend a lot of time in Calcutta. When he got an opportunity to serve in Panihatti, he took it as so much with so much enthusiasm he had taken it. And he mentions in some of his talks that Jaypada Maharaj had told him to take up Panihatti, so he took it up with so much enthusiasm. And I think in one of the Prabhupada's conversations, it's mentioned that devotees would come from airport and they would go on Ganga from Calcutta to Mayapur, and on the way they would take breakfast at Panihatti. So something like that, he had the desire of that sort. So Panihatti was developing. So I remember one of the visits to Panihatti, Maharaj was taking devotees to Panihatti. Few devotees, probably 15-20 devotees were there hardly, and he was taking Radhanand Maharaj as well. So then we were going on a boat, and when Charu Maharaj was singing, and some senior devotee was playing Mridanga. So then Radhanand Maharaj himself said that you give the Mridanga to me. Then Radhanand Maharaj was playing the Mridanga later on after that. So after that, when Charu Maharaj started speaking that, and Charu Maharaj said that, do you know what fortune you are undergoing through? People would shell out lakhs of rupees to have such kind of association with, and they would not get it. Such kind of association with Radhanand Maharaj, and they would not get it, but still you are fortunate to be able to get it, like that he was saying. So anyway, so that was in initial days of Panihatti, just began Panihatti. So he took Maharaj to Panihatti and all the devotees, and they had, and offered his association to all of us in this way. So he would love Calcutta so much. He spent so much time in Calcutta, practically twice a year for long durations. He would come and many other times as well, and give a lot of time in Calcutta. And he had so many desires for Calcutta. He wanted a beautiful temple here at our Newtown and many other places, proposed birthplace and all these projects in Calcutta. So we hope that we live up to his desires and offer some service. As some devotees are mentioning that he always fondly remembers this, and he repeatedly says, offer this one life to Prabhupada. Prabhupada told Bhakti Maharaj, offer this one life to Krishna, offer this. You have offered so many lives to Maya, offer this one life to Krishna, like that. So you would say. So we also hope that we may offer this life for fulfilling desires of Prabhupada and senior devotees like Charu Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. His Holiness Charu Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Bhagwan Prabhu ki jai. Now we request His Grandfather to worship the Prabhu to give his offering to the Venerable Maharaj.
और मुझे मार्केट पे अखाड़े खोले तो सब लोग मार्केट को वहां से खड़ा है और शंकराचार्य बाद में फिर रामानुजाचार्य विष्णु स्वामी फिर मध्वाचार्य और चतर महाप्रभु और उसके बाद में पूरे आचार्यों ज्ञान से सारे आचार्यों को की प्रशंसा की ओर बताया जैसे रूपमाला विष्णु बाबू समारोह में और जो हमको मिल रहा है सर्वश्रेष्ठ ये मेरा बच्चा है इस तरह से महाराज से लोग मिला वो पूरी परंपरा का अंदर था महाप्रभु की तरह पूरी तरह बात है फिर मान जाए नमक करते हैं रोमान का पास तरह का बात है वो अंदर उसमें महाराज के जो कीर्तन और भजन है वो तो विश्व प्रसिद्ध है कोई तुलना नहीं है और जब भी बात की क्लास देते हैं शुरुआत में आनंद में कीर्तन जरूर होता है हमारे स्पीकर गाते हैं कीर्तन गाते गाते तब नाचना चालू करें कोई एंड होता है जैसे महाराज के कीर्तन भजन ये असली श्री विग्रहारा धन नाना सिंगारा धन मंदिर माना ये सब काम करने में जैसे एजुकेशन के सबसे महाराष्ट्र में दलियानी से डेली में जाता है जब वो कलकत्ता मंदिर आए तो उन्होंने देखा दो बार देख गया है सही उसको नहीं लगे तो उस समय उन्होंने वहां से फैंसी ली और हमारा मंदिर का जो अल्बर्ट रोड का है वो भी महाराष्ट्र के वजह से बना तो आज हम बता रहे थे कैसे दो बार की लेडीज को कैसे साफ करना है पर्सन में मालूम नहीं है इस तरह से विग्रह पूजा का स्नान करवाना महामार्ग में सब कुछ है तो जहाँ से खबर के साथ स्वागत करता है संघ फिर जो इसमें वजह से बंदे को और फिर साथ तो कहने क्या है अगर कोई आसपास मिलेगा तो मतलब हमारा इनवाइट करेंगे के साथ के एक बार मुझे मैं महाराज की व्यासपूजा की तो महाराज पंडाल के अंदर जा रहे थे उस समय उन्होंने देखा कि कुछ भक्त लोग थे वो साइड में खड़े हुए देखे नए भक्त थे नए ब्रह्मचारी थे उन्होंने तो साइड में खड़ा किया हुआ है महाराज ने पूछा क्या हुआ साइड में क्यों खड़े हुए तो महाराज के पास कूपन नहीं है महाराज बोले ये ट्रेनिंग आपने कहाँ से ली कूपन सिस्टम कहाँ से आया और इनके पास धोती कुर्ता वगैरह नहीं है क्या हाँ धोती कुर्ता कभी महाराज बोले कि बाहर के हैं इसको आपके हमारा रिक्वेस्ट कौन है ये उपनिषद आपने कब से चालू कर दिया एक और प्रतिष्ठा के सबको बता देना हमारा बहुत ध्यान देकर सारे डॉक्यूमेंट को बता देना चाहिए फिर तीन आदिता माता जी का माता जी का बोलना ठीक छना सदन बंदी पास है बंदे को करना और खासकर महाराज से कृष्ण का लेक्चर है बड़े भाव का लेक्चर महाराज के द्वारा जो भी लेक्चर है उसमें महाराज का जो प्रेम है वो साफ साफ लगता है कभी कभी वो प्रेरणा लेक्चर में महाराज दे तो महाराज नए लोग थे उनसे पूछ रहे थे कि आपको कृष्ण को अपना जीवन देना चाहिए कि नहीं देना चाहिए सब लोग बोले हाँ कहीं वो देना चाहिए महाराज बोलते हैं फिर लेकिन राधा रानी बोलती थी कृष्ण नहीं देना चाहिए जब से हमने कृष्ण का अपना जीवन दिया है हम परेशान हैं हमारा लोगों से हमारे तो देखते हैं कि महाराज से क्लास देते नहीं थे कृष्ण खासकर ये दो बार बोलते हैं तो यहाँ पे भी जो फाउंडेशन है 2002 के आसपास तो महाराज ने यहाँ प्रचार किया पूरे विश्व में प्रचार किया और कहीं भी उनको लगा कि तुम भक्तों प्रचार कर सकते हो महाराज एंग्रेज कर देते एक बार महाराज का इंटरव्यू ले रहे थे तो महाराज पूछने का कहाँ से है क्या कर रहे हैं तो महाराज ने क्या क्या सेवा आपकी महाराज बोले आपका लिमिटेड हमको प्रचार करना चाहिए आप वहां बैठना जाओ अपने से पहले का वहां पे प्रचार करो महाराज इस तरह से सबको अंदर से लोगों को पकड़ करने के महाराज ने पूरा आवेदन ये करना है पहले महाराज का बहुत था कि मूवी बनाने का फिर महाराज जब हेमा मालिनी से मिलते हेमा मालिनी ने बोला नहीं मूवी मत बनाइए टीवी सीरियल बनाइए तो फिर महाराज ने टीवी सीरियल बनाया तो बात किसी ना किसी तरह से प्रचार बढ़ना चाहिए महाराज हमेशा देखते हैं साक्षात है कि समाज के साथ है जिसका प्रकार भाव बदले हुए सभी तीन का बोलिया हुए वैसे महाराज तो पहले से ही कृष्ण को ढूंढ रहे हैं हम जैसे कि वो जिनको भक्तों का खोज खोज किस चीज पे लाया है महाराज को कृष्ण को ढूंढ रहे हैं और आप देख सकते हैं महाराज इतने इतना प्रेम करते थे तो बात इतना प्रेम करते थे महाराज तो प्रोत्साह कृष्ण को बहुत प्रिय है तो महाराज भी कृष्ण को बहुत प्रिय कृष्ण के लिए प्रेम करो प्रभुपाद को समाधि दे रहे थे वृंदावन में तो महाराज बोल रहे थे कि उनको लग रहा था कि बस हमें तो प्रभुपाद के साथ ही रहना है तो भी इच्छा नहीं थी कि वो बाहर है और तमाम कुछ महाराज बाहर से देख रहे थे तो उनको समझ में आ रहा था कि मिट्टी जा रही है और महाराज को जीत है तो तमाम समाज हो गए वो बातें प्रचार करना है बाहर तो महाराज सबसे प्रभुपाद की ओर तो वो कृष्ण के होने लगे जैसे बता रहा मैं आप सब हमारा सपना खासकर प्रभुपाद की तरफ से कर जाना उसका मैं बता रहा फोकस करना तो आपसे प्रार्थना करता हूँ कि हमारा विश्वास है तो आजीवन माध्यम द्वारा करना फॉलो करते हैं तो बात Ashok Krishna Prabhu, there is asking to
Hare Krishna. आज बहुत ही स्पेशल दिन का व्यास पूजन तो महाराज का बहुत चलना कलकत्ता में बहुत सुंदर को। और वो हम देखते थे महाराज को बहुत अच्छा लगता था सबको प्रसाद खिलाने के लिए। आज से आज से हम सुबह जो भी गेस्ट आते हैं सुबह 8-9 बजे से 1 बजे तक उनके लिए हम हलवा प्रसाद उनका सेवा शुरू करेंगे। तो अपने दायित्व लिया और कर्म को उनका इच्छा है कि गुरु महाराज को प्रसन्न करने के लिए जो भी गेस्ट आएंगे इधर उनको वो हम हलवा प्रसाद करते हैं और शाम को 4 बजे से खिचड़ी प्रसाद। तो हम क्या करते हैं आज वो स्पेशल ऑफर कर देंगे और yes for taking this test. सबको आज हलवा मिलेगा। बड़ा फिश है लंच में, लंच के साथ हलवा मिलेगा। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णाय भूतले भक्ति चारु स्वामी नामिने चेता सुपनेता वाग्मी नाम सदा दुर्भाग्यत्राण नौमी भक्ति चारु नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णाय भूतले भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी भगवान प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पार्वती प्रचारिणे। हरे कृष्णा। ये ऑफरिंग मैंने उज्जैन में भेजा उन्होंने मांगा था, तो उसी का मैं हिंदी अनुवाद देता हूँ, वो इंग्लिश में भेजा था मैंने। तो मेरे सबसे प्रिय पिता श्री आपकी शक्ति पुण्य व्यासपूजा के अवसर पर कृपया मेरा अति विनम्रतम प्रणाम आपके चरण कमलों में स्वीकार करें। पिछले 2 वर्ष पूरा संसार बुरी तरह से पैंडेमिक से प्रभावित था और इसमें सबसे पहले प्रभावित था और उसमें ISKCON की बहुत ही अपूरणीय क्षति हुई है, नुकसान हुआ है 2 सालों में। सबसे बड़ा नुकसान ये हुआ हमारा कि आप महाराज और अचानक अप्रकट हो गए कोरोना के स्थिति में। वो जो है हमारा सबसे बड़ा अपूरणीय नुकसान है और हम आपको बहुत मिस करते हैं। और उसके बाद में मंदिरों का बंद हो गए, विगत जनता के लिए प्रचार प्रसार प्रोग्राम का भी व्यवधान पड़ा, उससे हमारा कोई फेस्टिवल नहीं हुआ। उसकी अनुपस्थिति में न्यूनतम पुस्तक वितरण भी हमारा बहुत कम हुआ। उसके बाद धन संचय या दान का जो वो भी बहुत कम हुआ, नाम मात्र का धन संचय हुआ। विशाल प्रोजेक्ट इतनी परियोजनाएं थी हमारी ISKCON की, उसमें बहुत अधिक हिंदी आ गई। जैसे सबसे बड़ी प्रोजेक्ट हमारी जो 2000 जिसमें शुरू होने वाली थी 2024 में आशा करते हैं। तो ये सब में बहुत बाधा पड़ी, लेकिन हम सदा आपकी उपस्थिति का अनुभव करते रहे। हरे कृष्ण आंदोलन के लिए आपके अतुलनीय योगदान और बलिदान ने कृष्ण भावना में हमारा उत्साह ऊंचा और चरम स्तर पर रखा, जो कि हमें आपकी जिंदगी गतियों से उपयोग, जो आपकी गतियां आपने दी, जो कंट्रीब्यूशन था आपका, उससे हमें उसका उपयोग और अनुसरण करने से हमें प्राप्त हुआ। ठीक है, प्रभुपाद द्वारा
गीतिक वैदिक साहित्य का बंगाली भाषा में अनुवाद, मंदिरों के निर्माण और प्रतिमा सिनेमा बनाया गया गुरु महाराज ने उसमें दिखाया गया था कि उनके था। उसके बाद में अवैध शरण की जिससे पूरा विश्व जान सका के बारे में जानते बने तो बहुत लोगों को पता ही नहीं था, कलकत्ते में लोग नहीं जानते था। और उसके बाद में आपने प्रवचन के प्रवचन गुरु महाराज के प्रवचन वैष्णव गीत तो ये सब रिकॉर्डिंग जो है हमने अभी भी जब तक महाराज हैं वैष्णव सदा क्या और विभिन्न कार्यक्रमों के लिए आपने बहुत से साहित्य लिखे। और उसके बाद में फिर जितने बहुत सी स्पष्ट सिस्टम एंड प्रोसीड्यूर्स कैसे करना है क्या करना है कैसे सब चीज में महाराज ने बहुत बड़ा योगदान दिया है। सारे संसार में हजारों उनके जो दीक्षित भक्त हैं उनको देख के मेरे को बहुत इंस्पिरेशन मिलता है और उनके आने वाले जीवन तो श्री कृष्ण की अनुकंपा प्रभुपाद और उनके शिष्यों के आशीर्वाद के साथ साथ सभी भक्तों के अथक प्रयास के आंदोलन गति हमारी फिर से पकड़ ली इस साल। जो हमारा 2 साल में हमारा नुकसान हुआ था तो इनकी कृपा से हमारा फिर से स्पीड आ गया और उसके प्रयास से आंदोलन में गति मिली। इस पर आरंभ से जबरदस्त तेजी पकड़ी हमारे ISKCON मूवमेंट ने जिसके परिणाम जो 14 गति जिनको को सामान्य स्थिति बनी हमारी जिसमें से मंदिर नॉर्मल काम करने लगे और उसके बाद में सभी मुख्य उत्सवों का विशाल भक्तिपूर्ण पालन हुआ हमारे इस साल में। श्री गौर पूर्णिमा, श्री चतुर्दशी, दशहरा महोत्सव, श्री कृष्ण जन्माष्टमी नंदोत्सव, श्री नीताई गौरव काफी सुंदर विग्रह स्थापना हुआ ISKCON न्यूटाउन में। उसके ISKCON की बड़ी सुंदर तरह से पूर्ण निर्मित और आध्यात्मिक जन्म स्थान ISKCON का आध्यात्मिक जन्म स्थान कहाँ है? उनका डाला जंक्शन रोड है ना, वहाँ जहाँ श्री प्रभुपाद का भक्ति सिद्धांत ठाकुर सबसे पहले मिले थे और भक्ति विनोद अवसान का नाम दिया गया है ऐतिहासिक। वहाँ पे ऐतिहासिक गंधमारी जी का और गिरिधारी विग्रहों की प्रतिष्ठापना हुई तो बड़े मठ में चले गए थे इसकी स्थापना हुई और हर मंदिर के अंदर का पूरा निर्माण शुरू हो गया। पटना का मंदिर भी फिर से बना बड़ा बना और राम के लिए इस मंदिर की शिलान्यास किया जाएगा महाराज ने। और प्रतियोगी का भी हम आशा करते हैं गुरु महाराज की 2024 में उसका उद्बोधन हो जाएगा जैसे हम केवल देखा और 1985 की कलकत्ता यात्रा के दौरान हमारे निवास पर आपको सर्वप्रथम साक्षात्कार से लेकर जब हम लोग मिले गुरु महाराज पहले हमारे घर में आए तभी हम जानते थे उनको देखिए सिंगर स्वामी महाराज लेके आए थे उनको और उनसे उस पॉइंट से लेकर और आपने पावन गुरु महाराज के परिवार पर एक मित्र दार्शनिक और मार्गदर्शक के रूप में गाइड के रूप में बहुत दयालु है महाराज हमारे ऊपर। मुझे 1996 की दादा जी के पहली दीक्षा मिली 2014 को मेरे हेरा पंथी को मेरे को द्वितीय दीक्षा दी मैंने और 2012 में श्री राम जानकी विवाह के उत्सव के तिथि पे मैंने मेरी पत्नी को दीक्षा दी और मेरे ग्रैंडसन को माता जो है मेरा उसको अन्नप्राशन दिया कोई महाराज के हाथ तो हम उनको भूल नहीं सकते। और उसके बाद में जो है आपकी प्रेरणा से मैं खुद मेरे बहू 2013 में श्री हीरा पंथी को स्वामी महाराज जी से पहली दीक्षा का आशीर्वाद दिया। तो इस तरह आपने हमारे पूरे परिवार की आध्यात्मिक उन्नति की ओर और मजबूत कर दिया। पूरा परिवार भक्ति भक्त परिवार बन गया तो हमको अभी मतलब हमारा सबसे बड़ा परिवार ISKCON का परिवार है। सबसे बड़ा हमारा पूरा भक्त परिवार पूरे हृदय से हरिदास हरिकृष्ण आंदोलन में शामिल होकर योग देते आ रहे हैं। हम अति नम्रता से आपसे विनती कर रहे हैं कि आप हमारे ऊपर आशीर्वाद की वर्षा जारी रखें ताकि हम सब आखिरी सांस तक ISKCON आंदोलन के लिए प्रतिबद्ध रहें। आपका भी सेवा में 10,000 अशोक कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण भक्ति चालू भाई महाराज की जय का दिवस की
अशोक कृष्ण प्रभु की हम रिक्वेस्ट प्रेसिडेंट एंटायर करूं तो वो डॉक्टर को रिक्वेस्ट प्रोग्राम के साथ करूं तो
words find complete incompleteness and also incompetent to glorify personality like His Holiness Swami. Most of us, including myself, we are not able to even believe that His Holiness is not there with us now. His life, His teachings, the way He lived His life is present in the hearts of everyone who considers himself as a humble follower of Srila Prabhupada. Because I'm not a big leader in ISKCON, I'm simply a member. I didn't have much personal interactions with them. But from distance, I could observe that he was an extremely empowered person. There are three aspects of his life. The first and the most foundational aspect that a disciple learns from the spiritual master is to learn the mood of the spiritual master. The disciple begins with learning the mood of the spiritual master, learning what he presents, the philosophy he presents, and he applies it in his own life for his own benefit. The second aspect a disciple goes ahead to learn from the spiritual master is to not just learn the mood of the spiritual master, but learn the wisdom of the spiritual master. How the spiritual master is working tirelessly to present the mood of the previous acharyas to everyone. And the most wonderful aspect, the third and most important aspect that a disciple learns from the spiritual master is not just the mood what he is presenting, it's not just the mission of giving that same mood to everyone, but the methodologies what he is. This Holiness of Charu Swami Maharaj, as a perfect follower of Srila Prabhupada, he actually exemplified these three aspects of an ideal disciple. He understood the mood of Srila Prabhupada perfectly. Maharaj explaining how Srila Prabhupada he actually was convinced that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission will go every nook and corner of the world. Maharaj was speaking in the class to him how it was Srila Prabhupada's conviction that made him go and speak to the foreigners in a way that I have just come to remind you, but you have just forgotten. And his awareness of the Charu Swami Maharaj understood that more than presented Krishna consciousness exactly in the same way that Srila Prabhupada presented. And not just promote the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada used to always tell that I have come to write books. Krishna sent me to write books. And his holiness, taking that mission of Srila Prabhupada as his heart and soul, he translated all Srila Prabhupada's books into the most divine language, our own language of the Gaudiya Vaishnava, that's the Bengali language. His Holiness was speaking about his schedule. Maharaj was speaking about his schedule when he used to translate Srila Prabhupada books into Bengali. And practically from the morning, he would get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and he would till 11 o'clock in the morning, he would just translate. Just complete 16 rounds and just translate and translate and translate, not even just come out of the room. That was his Holiness dedication to the mission of the spiritual master. And not just the mood and vision, one. As a disciple, he understood, he understood that the problem is what Srila Prabhupada presented, especially to present Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings in this Kaliyuga. It was His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj who established Srila Prabhupada as the founder Acharya. Who established in order to see that ISKCON movement is not just a movement for 1 year or 2 years or 10 years or 100 years. It's a movement for 10,000 years. Propagating Lord Chaitanya's teachings. His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj tirelessly worked when he was at the GBC. He worked to establish Prabhupada as the founder of Acharya. Because if Srila Prabhupada is established as the founder Acharya, then ISKCON is established as the most modified movement to present Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings for 10,000 years. And whatever we are doing in ISKCON is because we are worshipping and glorifying Srila Prabhupada as the founder Acharya. And his Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj, he ensured that ISKCON is united by many Srila Prabhupada as the central preeminent figure in his. With His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj exemplified the most ideal dynamic disciple, taking in his own heart Srila Prabhupada's mood, his mission, and the methodologies he presented in order to propagate Lord Chaitanya's movement to every movement. But generally in this world, we see that whenever people become dynamic, they become extremely passionate. They have no time for anyone. They have become extremely inaccessible. But in my small interactions with His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami as the Pranati mantra of his holiness speaks about snake touching. With respect to him, you feel that he has 24 hours for you. Many times we had some meetings regarding this one way of I have no clue what is being observed. But it is like that as if he has the entire time for in that. So gentle and so gracious. Being dynamic, it generally happens that we become so passionate, that we become so irritated. We do not have time, but Charu Swami Maharaj exemplified not just as a dynamic disciple, he exemplified the perfect blend of being the most gentle and gracious sadhu that you can ever meet. My heart simply aches to understand the fact that he's not there physically amongst us. But if we can surrender our lives to Srila Prabhupada and follow the teachings of Srila Prabhupada in our life, His Holiness of the Charu Swami Maharaj will permanently remain in our heart and guide us to Sri Prabhupada. His Holiness
महाराज की जो बोल है आनंद है और मैं शायद लोग भी नहीं उनको अच्छे से उनका गुणगान कर पाऊँ पर तभी का प्रयास करूँगा महाराज से मैं इंट्रैक्शन हुआ है कुछ बार तो बात होती है जब हम लोग थे कल मैं भागवतम पढ़ रहा था उसमें उद्धव जी से कहते हैं और विष्णु जी बहुत सारे प्रश्न पूछते हैं पहले दूसरे अध्याय में उद्धव आंसर देते हैं तब भगवान को याद करते करते और वहां पर उद्धव जी बताते हैं कि यदुवंश के लोग कृष्ण के साथ रहते थे पर उतना वो महत्व समझ नहीं पाए जैसे कि समुद्र से चंद्रमा निकला है मछलियां उस चंद्रमा के साथ ही रहते रहता है पर हमको उसकी वैल्यू नहीं पता है तो बाद में पूरे संसार को पता चलेगा कि वो चंद्रमा है तो वैसे यदुवंश के लोग भगवान के साथ बहुत ही है तो मुझे लगा कि जब हमारे साथ बहुत महान वैष्णव रहते हैं तो उनकी वैल्यू उतनी कभी कभी अपने बर्थ अवस्था के कारण समझ में नहीं आती है। पर अब रियलाइज होता है कि महाराज फिजिकली यहाँ पर नहीं है। उस समय हम बहुत ग्रांटेड दे रहे थे, महाराज मारे बेटा और इजी रहते हैं। तो अभी समझ में आता है, कभी कभी याद आता है वो महाराज है ही नहीं, उनके घरों को याद कर सकते हैं। पर बहुत दुख हुआ था 2 साल पहले, उस समय जब तो आचार्य को बता रहे थे कि वो किस तरह बहुत ही उत्साह से भगवान को पाने के लिए कोशिश कर रहे थे। बहुत अच्छे गुण है भक्त बनने के लिए, वैष्णव बनने के लिए, ऐसे भगवान को खोजने के लिए अपना सब कुछ दे रहे हैं। तो ऐसा गुण हमारे भीतर जो आपकी कृपा से हमारे जीवन में हो जाएगा। महाराज जी के साथ महाराज जी के कुछ सेवा करने का मौका मिला था तो बात करते थे, और अपनी मूर्खता के कारण मैंने बहुत सारी गलतियां की, पर महाराज ने मुझे माफ कर दिया। एक बार 2015 या 16 की बात है, यात्रा में सब ब्रह्मचारी बाहर गए हुए थे और मैं और कुछ दो भी ब्रह्मचारी बनते रहते। और भक्ति चंद महाराज कभी कभी वो सडन आते थे, कभी कभी पता रहता था, कभी 2 दिन पहले पता चल रहा था महाराज आने वाले। तो प्रभु ने मुझे बोला आज दूर महाराज शाम को आ रहे हैं और भगवान की प्रकाश देंगे। तो उसका मैं ही मैनेजर था, बंदा बिल्कुल सेवा आ गई। तो आप महाराज का इंट्रोडक्शन देना शाम को। ठीक है प्रभु जी। 7:30 बजे का गीता क्लास होती थी, तो मुझे प्रसाद देना था शाम को 7 बजे। तो पता नहीं चल रहा महाराज एयरपोर्ट से निकले कब आएंगे, कम्युनिकेशन होती रहा। तो मैं 7 बजे प्रसाद लेके बोला मैं आता हूँ। तो प्रसाद लेके नीचे आता हूँ, टेम्पल हॉल के वहाँ नीचे जहाँ प्रभुपाद जी का मूर्ति था नीचे पूरा सुनसान पूरी जगह। वरना क्या हुआ, ऊपर गया मंदिर की तरफ सीढ़ी से पूरा शांत। महाराज यहाँ शासन में बैठे हैं, सब लोग शांत हैं। और वहां से नवगण को बुला रहे, अरे थोड़ा स्मरण किधर थोड़ा महाराज जाके बैठ सकते हैं। पूछे आप कहाँ हो महाराज, यहाँ इंट्रोडक्शन तो जैसे होता तुरंत माइक लिया और मैं बोलना चालू कर दिया। तो आज महाराज हमारे बीच में है और महाराज देख के समझ के मैं बोलता रहेगा और जल्दी जल्दी बोलता जा रहा है। अरे नो प्रॉब्लम मेरे रनर यात्रा में पानी महाराज देख लो महाराज 2 मिनट महाराज मैं बताता हूँ ऐसे करके हमारे इसको और ऑफवर्ड हो गया महाराज को ले आए मेरे ऊपर ये मुझे बहुत हुआ। अगले दिन मैं महाराज से मिला सुबह 5:30 बजे मंदिर में आए महाराज से, तो महाराज से मैंने वापस मांगी ठीक है एटलीस्ट बहुत कॉम्बर्ट होता है रिलैक्स कर दी। के बावजूद भी जो हमारा फिर जब हम गेस्ट हाउस की सेवा कर रहे थे तो मैं तो अपना फील्ड में ही रहता था, हमारे असिस्टेंट मास्टर चारू है वो बहुत फील्ड में रहते थे और मेरा जो कार्य है ऊपर से बुकिंग करना देखना। तो कभी कभी मुझे जाना पड़ता था जब ऐसे घुमा निकल रहे हैं आप निकल रहे हैं। तो महाराज जी वो ट्रिपल कोड फ्लैट में रहते थे उस समय जब, तो महाराज ने बहुत सारे इम्प्रूवमेंट बताए कि हम ऐसा करेंगे हम वैसा करेंगे। मैं बहुत भरोसा करके अपने टीम के ऊपर जैसे सेशन पीछे से मैं हेल्प कर रहा था और हम लोग मैं ऐसा सेवा किया महाराज को बहुत परेशानी हुई। महाराज जी पूछ रहे हैं ये कैसे कर सकते हो, ये कौन सा गेस्ट हाउस है, अच्छे से सेवा होगी सबसे महाराज परफेक्शनिस्ट था तो बिल्कुल परफेक्शन किया। कुछ ऐसे लोगों का बता नहीं सकता हूँ यहाँ पर उसको माफ किया और मैंने बोल रहे थे जाने से पहले 2020 से फरवरी मार्च में आए थे, बोले नदी में वापस आऊंगा, इस गैस को तो बहुत अच्छा बना लेंगे, कितने रुपए का है, तो हम लोग ने बताया मेरा कब होता है, we can consider, we can make it nice, मेरा जो रिसर्च जा रहे थे, हाँ न्यू टेम्पल अब की वो जब तक नया टेम्पल का ऑफिस बना देंगे, मॉडल रखेंगे, तो देखते थे परफेक्शन थोड़ी प्रक्रिया होगी, मेरा फिर एक दिन शाम को उसी समय विद्या मंदिर मिला, वहाँ पर वो हो रहा था, ड्रामास वगैरह कराए थे, मौके से टीम आई थी, सवाल था, तो मेरा जो कल्चरली उसको अच्छे से करते थे, ड्रामा, संगीत, हरिनाम, बहुत कल्चर, प्रसाद सेवा भक्तों की करा दी, सब बहुत अच्छे थे। तो फिर शाम को जब वो वापस आए थे रात को 9-10 या 11 बज गए, तो उससे काफी रात को वो प्रसाद दे रहे थे, तो मैं तो लेके बता 8 बजे तक, मेरा नहीं बोले आप ही बैठिए, तो मतलब वो किसी को देखते थे तो उसको उन्होंने देव कर देते, आप करो मतलब आप साथ करो, आप प्रसाद करो, तो मैं बड़ा सर्वज्ञ के प्रसाद दे रहा था, तो मैं जल्दी आ गया, पता नहीं वो कब तक करना है, तो भी वहीं बैठे और बहुत हंस रहे थे और आराम से रिलैक्स, तो उनके साथ मिलना हुआ, बहुत प्रभावित हुए और हम तो फिर पूछते रहते थे प्रसाद कैसा है, सब मिलता है, चक्रधारी ने क्या बनाया है, चक्रधारी को कुछ बना देते थे तो मंगवाते थे, जैसे महाराज के प्रोग्राम में चक्रधारी जी जो बनाते थे, महाराज को लेके रखते थे, देखते थे कैसे, तो चक्रधारी जी परफेक्शन है वो और परफेक्शन, महाराज पूछते रहते थे, सेवा हुआ प्रसाद हुआ, मैंने सुना कि लोग गए लेकर 11 बजे महाराज को, पर भक्त को बताते हैं कि महाराज जी पूछते थे कि कौन से भक्त कहाँ रुके हुए हैं, सबको रूम मिला है, सबको प्रसाद मिला है, बहुत मतलब वैष्णव सदाचार, महाराज ने लेक्चर भी दिए वैष्णव सदाचार, वैष्णव एटिकेट, और उसको एग्जाम्पलीफाई भी किया, अपने उदाहरण से दिखाया कैसे सेवा करनी, और फुल अच्छे से, बहुत कुछ मुझे चरित्र से सीखने मिलता है। तो इस तरह 2014 में महाराज जी ने सेफ्रॉन सेरेमनी में हम 5 लोगों को सेफ्रॉन ड्रेस भी दिया था, एक हम पूना से थे, मुझे जो हमारे मिला महाराज जी के हाथों से, बहुत अच्छा लेक्चर दे रहे थे, बता रहे थे हम सभी को पहले लगाए, आलेखन किया और बता रहे कि आप एक जीवन कृष्ण की जिंदगी, और किसी ने प्रश्न पूछा महाराज क्या गारंटी है कि होगा कि नहीं होगा, तो महाराज बोले आप लग जाइए, कोशिश करिए, एक जीवन दीजिए, भगवान में होना दीजिए आप, महाराज उसको समझा रहे थे, तो हम सबको समझा रहे थे, बता रहे थे माया बहुत अलग अलग रूपों में आती है, सावधानी से भक्ति करिए, भक्तों के संग में रहिए, भगवान के विषय में रहिए, कौन कौन के मत जाइए, भक्तों का सहयोग करिए, और अलग से किया, तो उनसे बहुत शिक्षा मिलती है, प्रेरणा मिलती है, और अभी भी कभी कभी ऐसा याद आता है, वो मेरा है नहीं, सरप्राइज हो जाता है, जैसे मेरा है पर्सनल लाइफ को देख के बहुत प्रेरणा मिलती है, जैसे वो चाहते हैं कि सभी भक्त इस्कॉन में रहें, रूपा जी की सेवा करें, बहुत ब्रॉड माइंडेड बात प्रार्थना करता हूं कि व्यासपूजा की कृपा और वो जो रास्ता दिखा रहे हैं रूपा जी और के माध्यम से उसको जीवन भर पालन करता है। चारु स्वामी महाराज की, चारु स्वामी महाराज का पूजा महाराज Navami Krishna Padaya, Krishna Vishaya, Krishna Padaya, Bhakti Charu Swami Nityananda. Namaste Saraswati and Visheshashmi Navami Master Prabhu. I'm making a small offering. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you for always transparently showing us Shiva Prabhupada. And today in the lecture, Maharaj told us that how spiritual master, the transparent by-media who brings Krishna more closer, just like awareness. So thank you, Maharaj, for showing us Srila Prabhupada and showing us Krishna so closely and transparently for your own personal example. Also, you showed that how Krishna is making all wonderful arrangements to spread this moment. And we are seeing that this happening in every year, and especially in this very place in ISKCON Newtown, this is very dear to your heart, where you wanted a beautiful, unique and gorgeous temple to come up. You always meditated on this beautiful temple. Gave us so many wonderful directions to make this. As Nityananda was sharing before, and how I remember on Monday when we called both of us to Shita Mayapur for discussing about something related to temple design. So we went there and how we made us so comfortable, how we were so insignificant, we made us so comfortable. And today many devotees have spoken on this topic of your hospitality. So we remember so many of my interactions with you, very close, intimate and short interactions. Every time we met us very comfortable. When as soon as we come, we'll offer obeisances, we will want us to sit at equal level with you. As soon as we like to sit on the ground or floor, we say, no, sit close to me. Make us talk so comfortably that we will not even realize with whom we are talking, and after talking, we just feel such great fortune. And I remember on that day how you fed us special, the big Bengali dish of more than 30 items. I think I never took such kind of dish in my life, first and maybe the last one. It was the most memorable, and I remember you asked that you are from North India and you are very short chapatis along with our Bengali dish. I think I ate the next one that day, but I ate everything whatever you offered. It was the most pleasing experience. And as soon as we sat on Goshala, immediately you started discussing beautiful your interactions with Srila Prabhupada. It was so heart-touching to hear your absorption with Srila Prabhupada. And immediately, the whole, I was so fortunate that day that I'm sitting with a very close servant of Srila Prabhupada. The glories are so many and unlimited, so much to be spoken, but in short time, I'd just like to say one thing which amazed me the most, how you spend, you wake up so early in the morning, every day, every night for most of us, the time you woke up, and you write, you translate the Prabhupada books, and you are fully dedicated to do the service to Srila Prabhupada. So by your own example, you have shown us what is dedication to spiritual master. By translating all these books. On this auspicious day of the Vyaspuja today, we wish to also launch something called Vaishnava Prashikshan course. This is a training program in Bengali And one of the primary goal of this is to help the students learn Srila Prabhupada books in Bengali language, which is all translated by your divine grace. And also, you always showed by your example and taught how to be doing a perfect sadachar. The sadachar and siddhant, with this as a goal, this Vaishnava session course we are starting today on this auspicious day. So we seek your blessings that this course when it listen to you, where we will try to teach Srila Prabhupada books as translated by Bengali, and we try to teach the Siddhant and Sadachar as taught by your personal example and reactions. So we offer this request assignment to offer the form and the notice to Mr. Maharaj. This is the offering. Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki jai. Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, Vyaspuja Maharaj ki jai. These blessings of Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada and our Vaishnavas for this course recorded in this. Now we will have a call for Charu. The request is that we will do the prayer. शासन के बाद ओवर ऑफरिंग के बाद महाराज से कुछ शांति कीर्तन तत्पश्चात 1 बजे सबके लिए प्रसाद